Hi amigas, welcome back to another one of my videos. For those that don't know me, my name is Beverly. Welcome. And for those that are returning, thank you guys so much for joining me again today. In today's video, as you guys already saw down at the title, we are going to be talking about our new member of this craft room, and that is this printer right here. It is an eco-solvent printer. It is a Mutoh printer, and we're going to be talking more about it because I have shown it off to you guys over the past week across all my social medias. Everyone's wondering a lot of questions, and I am here to give it to you guys in this video and break it down and spill it down for you. I've had questions for what does this printer do? What can it all print on? How much is the cost of it? Where did you get it? We are going to be covering it all because if you are a chismosa like me, you want to know all the details on machines like this, especially if it's going to make your life easier and be an upgrade for your business. And I'm all for it, so let's go ahead and talk about it. All right, so I do have some notes, so if you guys see me looking down, it's because of that. This is the Mutoh Xpertjet C641SR PRO. This printer is an eco-solvent printer. Now with this printer right here, you can print lots of different materials and do lots of different things, but I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the product details straight off their website, kind of read you guys a little description about what this printer does or what it is. So this is the all-in-one new Mutoh Xpertjet C641SR PRO. It is a 24-inch eco-solvent printer and cutter combo. It is perfect for a wide range of applications such as stickers, t-shirts, transfers, vehicle decals, posters, banners, and more. You can print and cut on a 24-inch roll of media while operating at speeds more than twice as fast as its closest competitors. And you might be wondering, who is the competitor to this one? Well, you guys, it's obvious. It might be Roland. And if you guys have not checked out the differences, you guys definitely should. But in addition to the built-in contour cutting capability, the XTOOL 641SR PRO also contains all of the functions and features of a full-size Xpertjet Pro series. So that is basically their bigger series printers that is part of the Xpertjet family, but it also includes all of those differences. It's just a smaller compact printer for beginners. So this includes the ultra-fast Mutoh AccuFine print head, Drop Master 2, Feed Master automatic alignments, iScreen intelligence, interweave technology, and media tracker. So this all-in-one Xpertjet C641SR PRO benefits from Mutoh's re-owned readability and made in Japan quality, making it perfect choice for anyone looking to get into the printing game, which is exactly what I did, okay? As you all know, I have a lot of different printers, like our UV GTF printer, we have DTF printers, and I've always wanted an eco-solvent printer, and finally we were able to make it happen, so here she is. Now, I will say that I think this one is, and don't quote me, but I almost am positive that Mutoh has come out with their first print and cut all-in-one printer, which is this one. It's this series right here that came out, and I will talk a little bit more about it. So it has a compact body and a size perfect for beginners because it doesn't really measure to be super wide or super in height. As you all see maybe in the video, it looks big, but honestly, compared to the big printers out there, which you guys have seen them, this one I measured, it's about 46 inches in width by 47 inches in height. So it is super nice and compact. It's not super big or anything. I feel like it's the perfect size, especially if you're getting into the printing industry without having to have a whole bunch of space in the room or area you're gonna have it in. For example, I have mine in my craft room. I don't have a lot of space in here. It's a regular size bedroom technically. So I think this is perfect. And it is easy to install in smaller spaces, like I mentioned, with or without the stand. As you guys can see, I have it on a stand because it just makes sense. You can roll it and move it around, but you can obviously also take the stand off if you have something you want to put the printer on. It is considered a desktop size printer, great for office spaces and stuff. So you guys are able to see that here now. All right, so now that we kind of talked a little bit about like their description of the printer and everything, I want to talk to you guys about why I went with this printer and not with the famous Rolands that everyone talks about, that everyone knows. I specifically went for this printer right here, the Mutoh, was because I saw one video And this one video convinced me to do it. And what was the video, you might be asking? I will go ahead and link it here in the corner of this, and I will go ahead and talk to you guys a little bit about it. So it's pretty much a comparison video up on their official website, comparing this printer, the Mutoh Xpertjet C641SR PRO, which is the one that I have, versus the Roland BN220A, and that's their newest Roland machine for a desktop compatible equal solvent printer, right? So it's the newer one that came out. And when I saw that, I was like, are you serious? Like, I need this printer. Yes, the color and the aesthetic might not be it, but other than that, if you're looking past it, the speed and the quality is something that it convinced me just watching that video and just kind of wanting to get more information. So what did I do? I watched the video, I got convinced, and then I went strictly to go and find where I can get this printer, right? So I went ahead and did all that. But let me go ahead and talk to you guys and say something real quick. Disclaimer. All thoughts in this video are mine. No, I'm not getting paid. No, this is not a collab. Yes, I did pay for this printer out of my own money. So that is why I wanted to go ahead and do this disclaimer, because a lot of the time when you work with companies, people are thinking that you're not being honest or whatever, or the thoughts are not yours because this is a collaboration, you're getting paid for it. I want to make it clear, this is not a collab. I do not work with Mutoh. I have never been in contact with them other than to buy my printer. So all thoughts and everything are mine. And again, yes, I did pay for this. And if you're really interested and wanting to see how much I paid from the printer to the materials and all, with the breakdown receipts and everything, you guys have to watch until the end to get all of that info. Okay, jumping right into how did I get in contact with them about considering getting this printer. So first and foremost, I will go ahead and drop a link down below where you guys can go and check out the product description of this specific printer and a way to get in contact with Mutoh. Now, Mutoh directly through their site does not sell them. It gives you the price and tells you how much it is brand new. But in reality, you fill out a form and then Mutoh gets in contact with you. They see where you are located, what state, and then they find you an authorized reseller in your area that is allowed to sell the printers through them. And basically they get in contact with you after. So that's exactly what happened to me. I filled out the form. I was just like, I just need info. I talked to Mutoh over the phone. One of their representatives gave me a call, said, hey, where are you located? I gave them my location. They found the nearest retailer to me, which was 2 hours away. And that is how we got the ball rolling to basically acquire this printer right here. Now, this printer here, there was a new version, but they also had a demo used version out on the floor with the authorized reseller. What did I do? I asked my questions, I got all the info on it, and officially at the end, I ended up considering this used printer. And you might be asking yourself why. And that is because it was a demo printer used at the print shop just to demo and show off how it prints and everything, because they were promoting it. But it was never used by an actual real customer. So it was used in the store as a demo, never used by an actual customer. And that is what made me really consider it. As far as everything else, it still had warranty and everything. So I just said, let's do it if it's going to be a lot cheaper. And of course it was. So I ended up going with this one. Now I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what all I plan on doing with this printer and what it does, because I've gotten a lot of questions. So with this printer, like I mentioned before, it's a printer and a cutter all in one. And it does print up to 24 inches in width. And the height depends on how long the roll is. You can honestly print continuously, just like any other printer really out there that has a continuous printing. So with this one, I do plan on, first and foremost, and the most recent why I got this printer was I wanted to make vinyl stickers that are waterproof, either big or small. Big meaning I want to do like fat heads and big printouts and banners where I can apply them to foam boards and cut them out for like party decor and things like that, or make fat heads for graduations or games and things. And that is why I wanted a bigger printer like this, because for my shop, it will open up so much more opportunities. And a lot of people have actually already asked me if I can do big printouts. And as before, I would always be like, I can't, I'm sorry, I don't have that printer. And a lot of the times, it wasn't just with vinyl. It's not like they just wanted one simple color where I can cut it out on my cutter plotter and just do one color vinyl. They literally wanted an actual printout of a graphic or a raster image that has pixels, and it's just a lot more detailed and complicated, and it's almost impossible to do with vinyl, especially if it's an actual picture of someone. That is why I really wanted a printer like this, and something that I knew I could afford. I also wanted to offer here locally and people, you know, where I can ship to, for local businesses like coffee shops, packaging stickers and such, where it is so much easier to make stickers in a bigger quantity at a bigger amount or pace or whatever, than having to do them little on a sheet by sheet, where I would have to pass them through my inkjet printer, then my Cricut or my cutting machine, and it was just going to take too much time. So I just decided this is why, the main reason I wanted it for sticker making. Another thing that I want it for, and eventually I will try, and I have not done it yet, is to make banners, posters, and maybe even considering, if I did need it for that, for HTV transfers. Now, if you guys follow me along on my journey here on YouTube or on my other social medias, you know that before I used to make and sell eco-solvent transfers and even apply them to shirts. But I had a converted printer, which I will leave the video here linked as well if you guys are interested in knowing how to convert a printer, or how I made heat transfer vinyl decals or shirt transfers or whatever you want to call them, eco-solvent method, but with an actual smaller desktop printer. I don't think that that option is a good idea 100%, just because of the printer has pros and cons when it's converted. It honestly is something that I learned to use and I liked it, but because also my budget at the time, I couldn't afford one of these, I ended up doing it that method. Now, again, with that being said, I'm not against it 100%. Obviously, you do what you need to do, but I will link the video here for you guys to check it out in case you guys wanted to see how I used that method before versus what I'm going to be using now. I don't really plan on using it so much for HTV transfers because I do have DTF printers for that now. And with DTF, you don't have to weed. It's just simply printed. You add your powder and all that stuff, and you just apply it to your shirt. Versus HTV transfers, you print it. Yes, it does cut all in one, but you still have to go back in and weed around the design and then apply transfer tape to then put it on your shirt. So I don't know, maybe in the future we'll do a video comparing eco-solvent transfers for HTV with the DTF. We'll plan a video in the future, but for now I mainly wanted it for vinyl stickers, banners, and posters. So anyways, now what type of ink does this printer take? This printer does take 4 colored cartridges. They're not liquid ink bottles like my other printers that I just literally pour the ink into the printers. This one actually does take cartridges, and let me show you guys those. These are the ink cartridges. It takes CMYK, which is black, cyan blue, magenta, and yellow. So it does take cartridges specifically for this printer. And these are the ones that I have already installed into my printer. And these are just an extra set that I have on hand when we run out. How long will they last me? I don't know. But when we get there, I will update you guys on how long these actually last. But obviously, as you know, with anything, it depends on how much you're printing and how much you're doing or how much ink you're using on one sticker specifically. It just all depends. Now I want to talk a little bit about my experience as to when I got my printer and everything and how it came installed and everything. I know this is all important. One major thing about having a printer like this and buying it in the States, which I knew I was gonna love, was the support, the help, the tech support. That I knew was going to be amazing. Why? Because most of my printers do come from overseas, like the pink ones, and it does take some time to get help, support, and it's not usually in person, it's over a message, and there's a lot of back and forth. And whenever you're working with a company like that, you do have to stay up. Different time zones can mess you up. So one thing I really did love about this was that if I added tech support with the printer from the authorized reseller, they were going to send somebody out to come and install the printer, set it up, programs and all, and basically go from there. And anytime I had any questions or needed help, they were literally a phone call away or a text away during the day, during normal business hours, and I was able to get almost immediate assistance. So once my printer was ready, I was actually going to go pick it up 2 hours away from their shop, and I was going to go pick up so I wouldn't get charged a delivery fee. But at the end, I guess they needed to have some cleaning cartridges come in so they can clean the printer before they actually turned it into me. and that is top tier service because of course they were looking out, they wanted it to make sure it was maintenance real good before they actually gave it to me. Now, because the cartridges and everything, they didn't have none of that in stock, they did actually offer, if I waited a few more days, the technicians that were going to come out anyways to install the software and show me how to use the printer, they would just bring it down themselves. And I said, you know what, that works for me. So at the end of the day, I did not get charged a delivery fee. The technicians came with the printer and it was just all in one included. So that actually worked out and I didn't have to do the drive, nor did they charge me. So it was a win-win. Once it actually got delivered, it was a Friday. I believe now it's 2 weeks since I've had this printer and they came in, they brought it. It was already on the stand. So basically, since it was already in store, none of this had to be unpackaged or anything. It was super clean, nice, and everything. They brought it in, rolled it into my room, and the technicians got straight to work. It was 2 guys that came in, and they basically just had me pull out the laptop I was going to be using, and they installed the programs on there. Now, I did want to talk a little bit about the programs because a lot of people are like, how do you get this printer to print? How do you do this? How do you do that? Which I will show you guys in this video today, and hopefully it's not too long, but I will show you guys how I actually do a print and cut project with stickers using this machine and the programs that I'm using. So let's go ahead and talk about the programs. Okay, so with the programs, we have the first one. It's called Mutoh Status Monitor. This printer requires this program specifically because it does not have a control interface panel. So as you can see, there's no screen on it to where you can see what the status of the printer is. So if it's on sleep mode or if it's awake or if there's an error message, you can't see nothing because there's no interface on it. So this specific program helps you monitor that to see if it's active, how to put it on sleep mode, how to do a cleaning cycle. You basically use Mutoh Status Monitor only to see the status of this printer, but also to perform your cleanings or to tell it to cut or to do something specific that you can't do with a push of a button on the actual printer. So that is what Mutoh Status Monitor is. And yes, I would say it's very important because it's what really will control it overall, even when you're not doing a print project, you know? So that is the first program. Now, the second one is called Flexi Designer. It's Mutoh Edition for this printer specifically. And this program, you can design in it and do all your vectors or graphics. It's kind of like Inkscape or a different third-party website out there, or program I should say. But in reality, you also use this program specifically, Flexi Designer, to add your cut lines. I know with the rolling and everything, there was a lot of people that had difficulty or issue adding cut lines and they had to use a program like Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop. And the cool thing about this printer, if you buy it, it will come with these 3 programs all included. So it's just literally so much more easier. So with Flexi Designer, like I mentioned, you can design in it, but you also really do need it for your contour lines to add the cut lines to that before you send it to the third and final program. Now for me, I am just using Flexi Designer to just add my cut lines because most of the time my customers send me the stickers already designed, or I design them real quick in Canva or Photoshop, and I just feel like it's so much easier because I'm more aware of those programs and how to use them. So then at the end, we just go ahead and send it to the third one. Now the third and final program that this printer uses is called Vertilith, okay? I know it's a weird name, but this is like the actual RIP software to where you send all your print jobs to print and cut. Now with this one, you can also adjust other things. So basically with this one, other than sending it to print and cut where you're just gonna hit submit to print so it can start printing your actual job, print job, you can also do things like adjust the quantity of stickers if you're making those and how big you want them for sizing, quantity. You can adjust your margin so that way the printer doesn't print too far to one side or the other. And you can also adjust color and the speed of how fast it's printing or cutting. So it can do a lot more. And it is obviously necessary because this program is what actually will send your print jobs to print. But I do want to talk a little bit about my experience when I first got it and when I was like trying to get all excited to do something. You know, it's like when you get a new printer and instead of just doing like an easy project or testing something easy out, you kind of go in with like a difficult image just to really test its limits. Well, that's what I did. And you know, I'm not saying it's a bad thing because I really do think that it showed me what its capabilities were. But I do think that for this printer, especially if I'm making stickers, I am going to stick to more of the simple cuts, like shapes like circles, squares, rectangles, or normal contour cuts with a shadow around the image. And here is why. When I tested this printer out, I was wanting to test out designs that were like made for cup wraps, which if you know, a cup wrap is super detailed and intricate. And that's usually something that I print now with my UV DTF printer. Why? Because you don't have to cut, it just simply prints and then you apply it to your cup, right? But I had a PNG image, I think it was of some strawberries with like 4th of July themed, and it had very small like designs and strawberries here and there. And honestly, yes, it did cut it perfectly well, but let me tell you, the speed on intricate cuts can slow down a lot. And the reason why is because it's trying to make sure it cuts it right and not messes up. So I think for now, because I don't want to be dealing with none of that, I will be dealing with simpler cuts and I'm okay with that. And like I said, that is why I have this printer for, and this printer just for more of those bigger projects. So I do recommend trying out to do the simpler projects and not getting too detailed in there. But anyways, enough of me talking and rambling. Let's go ahead and get into the actual project. Okay, so this program right here is Mutoh Status Monitor. As you all can see right now, the monitor or printer is not really active because I just turned it on. So we're going to go in and do this. And once you select the actual printer, it will show the success if it is on and active and connected correctly. As you all can see, it is. So now what we can do is if we needed to change anything else, go to remote panel. And this is basically the interface of the actual printer where you can see it is connected. You can cancel a print. You can do a media cut, which will just basically cut the media. You can put it on sleep mode and have a timer for how often you want it to do a cleaning. Let's say you want it to do every 9 hours and you want it to be a short cleaning. You would hit start to start the actual sleep mode and make sure it does cleanings. You can also do other things like nozzle checks here and warm up the printer. Because this printer does have a heater, specifically equal solvent printers it will dry the ink as it's printing, so it's super important to know that. You have other control settings here, which we're not really going to get into it right now because we want to show you more of the tutorial on how I send something to cut and print. And of course, lastly, how you can reset the waste ink tank. Okay, now that we've talked about this Mutoh Status Monitor, let's get into the second program, which is Flexi Designer Mutoh Edition. This one right here, if you don't have anything opened, it will pretty much look like this. We're gonna go ahead and do a new file. Then we're just going to slowly zoom out so you guys can see what we are working with. Now, when you bring in a new file, you go to File and you will go to Open or Import, I should say. And then once you do that, we're going to click on the design. Like I mentioned before, my design's are already pre-designed and you can design in here. I just find it a lot more easier to have your designs made ready to go. So once we do that, we're just going to place it and you can see this is the actual design or sticker I'm going to be making for my nephew's 11th birthday. He likes My Hero Academia, so we're going to go with that. Now, to go ahead and add a contour line cut, basically around the actual sticker, not in a square, we are going to go to Effects and then Contour Cut. Once you are there, you can see it adds like a very thin line, but I wanted to kind of just bring it in a little bit more so we make sure it cuts around the sticker and doesn't leave any white, but you can also go out if you want a white shadow around it. First, we're going to go to contour because it's the shape of the sticker. If you wanted it to cut in a rectangle, it will, or you can do an ellipse, which is a circle or round design. So we kind of wanted to go around the natural shape. And then here in this little drop down, you want to make sure you're selecting cut contour. If you do this, it will be more of a kiss cut, meaning it's just going to cut around the design, not cut through the backing. But if you wanted it to cut through the backing more like a die cut, it would be Perf Cut Contour. So we're gonna go with the first one. Again, I wanna make sure I selected the right one. Sometimes it's a little sketchy, so let's go ahead and click on that. And here you can see you have this. You can bring it in more if you want your cut to be brought in more. With this little selection tool here, you can go up or down, or you can bring it out. Let's say you want an actual white contour, and you see that that can be done too. But in this case, we're just gonna bring it in a little bit before the sticker, which I think that should be fine right there. And we are going to check mark and apply it. Once it is check marked and applied, then the third software, which is this one right here, it's called Vertilith. That's where we send it to our RIP software, but it's also an easier access button up here. We're just gonna go ahead and click on that, and then it will send it to Vertilith RIP. And you can definitely label your file name. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do Mason's 11th birthday stickers. And then hit send. And you guys can see it adds the cut line to it. Now, when you go to your third and final software, you scroll down on your print jobs and you should see it there. Okay, so it automatically will go ahead and send it. You can see these are all the different ones I've tried, and this is the one that I was talking to you guys earlier, where I tried to do a detailed cut line or something, and it was just very, very complicated. It took lots of time, and let me just tell you that we won't be doing that again. I just kind of wanted to show you guys all the intricate cuts, and that's why I opened this, but I will explain what I'm doing in a minute. You can see it has a whole bunch of small stars and circles and a whole bunch of intricate cuts with the strawberry 4th of July design. So yeah, no, we're not doing that again, okay? So let's go ahead and get back out and go to the most current print job, which is down here. So again, once you go from Flexi Design and you send it, it will then send it to Vertilith, our RIP printing software, and then here you have it. You can see, and we're gonna hit edit. Okay, with this sticker, you guys all can see it's ready to go. We want to see the cut lines, so show cut lines, and you can see this blue cut line right here is pretty much where it's going to be cutting around, not around the actual square. We want to go to this third layout here, this third little tab is called layout, and we want to change the size of it. It's detecting the roll as 24 inches, so we have that ready to go. But now we want to change the actual size of the sticker. We're going to do 3 inches, and you all can see there, it's brought it down. We still have the cut lines on. Then we're going to go back up and we're going to change something else, which is our margins. These right here are our margins on the side, telling it that this sticker can go past these margins because then it will sometimes mess up or it won't print on these margins once it's too close to the edge. So I actually like to put my margins at 1.6 on both sides. That way I am secure and aware that at least this space is negative space and I don't want the sticker to go past it. Okay, now once I do that, I want my number of copies. Let's say 30, because that's how many goodie bags we're putting these stickers on for my nephew's birthday. And once I change the size to 3 inches and I've changed the quantity copies for 30, I want to do one last thing. I want to make sure that my placement at the bottom is more centered. So you guys can see here, you can either do left, centered, or right. And I want to do centered, okay? You guys also have the options to rotate 90 degrees or leave them at 0, which in this case, it doesn't make a difference, but we're just going to leave them at 0. So once we have that here, we adjusted the size and the margins, and we have the media correctly and the quantities. Now we can go ahead and submit it to print, which is this button right here. So let's go ahead and submit to print. But before I do so, I'm gonna go ahead and show you all now how I set the printer up once I'm ready to send a print job to print. Okay, let's get to it. Here I am turning the printer on the back side, and just so you guys can see, I'm rolling up the vinyl film roll and slipping it in through the back. Once you actually go ahead and insert the film through the back, the printer will automatically start turning on, which is the heater and all, and it will start detecting that the vinyl roll has been put in. And then you turn it over to the forward side, the front side, and you just want to make sure that these little metal plates are over the edges on the ends. That way you make sure your printer is aligned correctly, and it will start to detect it and read it, and it's basically just kind of readjusting the film where it wants it. And like I mentioned, these are the little metal plates that you want on the edges. You also want to make sure that your rollers are on the actual vinyl toward the end. And before it actually starts reading it, you want to also lock in the rollers to the left hand side. If you guys notice this little piece of masking tape here, I simply just put it on there, and it is optional, just so you guys can see your printer print and cut instead of having it closed, because technically if the printer lid is open and there's no tape there, it won't actually start printing or cutting anything because it's thinking that there is something happening. Okay, here you can see once we sent the print job to print, we want it at 45 degrees Celsius, and it's currently around 30 something. And once it's actually fully heated up, it will start to print. And I am doing a time lapse, but I am timing so you guys can see how long it's going to take to print these 30 round stickers, which are 3 inches. And of course, we did a little bit of fast forwarding, that way you guys wouldn't have to sit there and watch throughout the whole process. But you guys can see, even with it being fast forward, you guys will see here closer to the end where I actually do real time, and you guys will see how it is going to cut. And the printing is pretty fast. The cutting is a little bit slower depending on the shape, but in this case, since it is round, most of the sticker from the top is cutting pretty quick. And then I think towards the bottom, because there was certain lettering and it was trying to cut around some specific letters at the bottom edge, it kind of slowed down a little bit, but I still feel that this printer is pretty efficient and fast. Now here we are moving on to real time. As you guys saw, the cutting before, it was a lot faster because it was fast forwarded, but now you can see real time, it is a little bit slower. And the reason I show you guys this because I want to be completely transparent. Like I mentioned, towards the end there is a little bit of cutting around the letter, so it slowed down a lot. But look, you guys, it finally finished at 16 minutes and 34 seconds. I honestly think it's not too bad because it did do a pretty decent job, and the cuts are very accurate. And yes, sometimes it has to slow down. So once we are done with that, there is a button at the top. You want to hold it down, that way you can cut off the sheet and it will automatically know where it left off at. It will pull the vinyl forward as you guys saw, and it will just cut the sheet off completely, and they're done. All right, so what did you guys think? Your final thoughts on these 3-inch waterproof vinyl stickers. Again, I made these for my nephew's 11th birthday party tomorrow, and I'm super excited because I know they're going to work out just fine. And best of all, they're not paper, they're vinyl like I mentioned. So I think they came out pretty darn good. Now let's talk a little bit more about the printer and the speed and everything going on with it. As you guys saw in the video, I did like a little time lapse and such, and I showed some parts of it printing and then cutting and all, and it actually did only take 16 minutes and 34 seconds for about 30 stickers, 3-inch round. And I say this because I tested it out the other day with about 50 stickers, and it actually did it right under 15 minutes. But what I noticed is that it can vary depending on the shape of the sticker. Now this one towards the bottom, because it did have some wording, it looked like it slowed down a little bit, but overall on the top, since it was pretty round, it did it pretty fast. Now, I think 16 minutes and ish, whatever seconds, is pretty darn good for a printer of this size. And I definitely think it's something you guys should consider. If you guys are wanting to get into the eco-solvent printing, I highly would recommend this printer. Now, the moment you guys have all been waiting for, because that is what I had questions on the most when I posted a little Instagram story asking you guys to drop down your questions for this printer, because I was going to be filming a YouTube video today. And of course, you guys did come through with that. Now, the most asked question was how much was the printer? How expensive was it? Well, I'm finally going to tell you guys with receipts and everything. So I got this printer, like I said, locally to me here in my area in Oklahoma. That's where I'm located, by the way. And it cost about $5,500 to have this used demo printer. Keep in mind that it can vary based off your state, either with taxes and all, and if they even have a used version. If not, then you would most likely be receiving a new one, which in my case, I would say would be even better. But the Xpertjet C641SR PRO Eco Solvent Print Cut in All One, which is this printer, was $5,500. Now, that is not it all. Because I did get the delivery fee waived, because of what they had some delays in office, they actually didn't charge me the delivery fee, but they did just charge me the installation, and tech support was for them to come out and install it and set it up for me. And obviously for me to be able to ask questions anytime that I wanted, and that tech support was $750. Yes, I know it's pretty steep, and yes, I've installed multiple printers like this, but even with these other printers that were installed on my own, I got tech support, whether that was by text message or video and stuff. So I definitely think that this was definitely worth it, because therefore now I can just keep on asking anytime I need help. And I did mention they were 2 hours away. Well, let me tell you guys, whenever they came out and installed it, that was one day. Then I had issues with me not really understanding the program or something disconnecting in between. And then the technician still came out 2 more times after that. Very efficient, no extra costs, and it was all included within that fee. So I definitely do think it was worth it. So overall for this printer, the installation, service and all was a total of $6,250. Now, as you all know, with that being said, not just a printer, you do need supplies. Okay, so whenever I bought those 4 cartridges, which is the cyan, black, magenta, and yellow ink, which is 220 milliliters cartridges, each individual one was $81, and that is literally the price everywhere I looked for this printer specifically, not just with the reseller that sold me the printer, also on different websites like US Cutter and other ones that I saw in between. For this printer, that's what the cartridges cost, $81 a piece. And I know what you're thinking, wow, that's expensive. But I have heard that these tend to last a long time. I've heard from people like my friend Lala over there at Custom Crafts. She said she's probably had her cartridges in her printer and that said it being close to 10 months or so, I think is what she said. And a huge shout out to her, because she was such a great person, literally, when it came to this printer, because I started looking at this printer because of her, and that's what really convinced me to get it. So if you guys don't follow her, go do that, and I will leave her Instagram page right here. That way you guys can go check her out. She posts a lot of content, and honestly, she's amazing. She's located in California, by the way. So total with taxes, sales, all that info, honestly, everything included with the inks, just inks alone, was $351 with 32 cents, with it all being just the inks and all taxes. So that was a little pricey, but with these bigger printers, I mean, honestly, what can you expect? And I'm not even shocked at this point anymore. Next thing I will say that I did get was the vinyl. So if you're going to be asking what type of eco-solvent printable media vinyl that I have in this printer for a 24-inch roll, I got the Orajet 3651, which is calendared PVC inkjet media. When you hear media, they're just talking about what you have in there, whether it's banner material, vinyl, whatever. Mine was a glossy finish. It was 24 inches wide, the roll, by 25 yards, and that was $74.99. With shipping and everything, grand total came out to $96.29. So that is how much for this roll right here that's installed. It was $96.29 for that. And because I am extra and I like to do my research on vinyl, and as much as I want to say I'm trying this vinyl out right now and it is pretty nice quality, I did hear about thicker ones out there that have a longer durability, especially for outdoor use and such, depending if you're going to be putting these decals on somewhere outside or, you know, more in the rain or being soaked in longer and stuff. So I decided to also try out another one, which is Xpertjet 3258. That is the specific number for this vinyl, and it's still not here, so I haven't been able to test it with you guys, but hopefully soon when I do get it, you guys will be the first ones to know about that. I did get it in glossy finish, and it was a 24-inch wide roll by 50 feet. And that was around $52.99 for just that one roll. With shipping and taxes and all, it came out to be $72.43. Yes, it is a smaller roll than the one that I have installed here, but again, I got it smaller because I want to try it out. Now, the thickness of the one that's supposed to be coming does say it's 6 MIL, which I'm assuming it's the thickness, and I think the one that's in here is 3, so it's going to be about a 3 millimeter or something thickness difference than the one that I have here. So I'm super excited to try out, and it was also recommended by somebody else that has a Roland solvent printer. But with these printers, you can use various materials across different brands. It's just the one that really matters the most is getting the branded ink it's supposed to be. But other than that, the calendared media vinyl or whatever you call it can be shared across different brands. So that's good. So if we're wanting to get down to how much was it all together, and no, it's not necessary to get the specific vinyl that I got or get the extra roll, but I'm putting the 2 rolls of vinyl, the set of ink, with the printer, delivery service, installation, and all together, we have a grand whopping total of $6,770 with 4 cents. And yes, as much as I want to admit that this is pricey compared to other bigger printers that will print just as fast or a little bit slower, or like the Roland and such, I honestly think that I got a good deal. I'm not going to lie. $6,770 with 4 cents does not seem a lot to me, comparing it to what people are spending on other competitor printers out there. And the only difference is that those are completely brand new, but I've heard a lot of people have different issues with different ones. So anyways, coming back down to it, it was a huge investment. The upfront costs are expensive. Now looking at it this way, because I've opened my shop up back this week after I've had this printer sitting for a week or so of me learning how to use it and such, and I officially started selling this week, I have gotten various orders. Now the thing is, promote, especially what you're wanting to focus on. No, I'm not getting into the banners yet or posters yet, but yes, I have started printing with just the vinyl material for stickers. And let me tell you guys, I have made various sales. I'm super grateful. I think this week I got about 5 different orders for 5 different type of stickers, either from 1.5 inch all the way to 3 inch, which has been the biggest so far. And it has been a huge success. Even for this coffee shop that has been local to me, I feel like that's where I definitely put it to the test, because these labels will hold up, and her cups are amazing. Like, they're literally sweating, there's ice in the coffee cups and everything, and it has held up. And I feel like that's really what has pushed me to promote more. So if you guys want to check out my labels and get some custom printed so you guys can see the quality too, go ahead and do so. It's up on my website. I offer them in quantities of 25, 50, or 100, and I offer them in the shapes of rectangular, square, circle, or a contoured actual shape cutout of your logo or design that you want. And these are perfect for packaging. They're perfect for small businesses such as food, or just to have and put anywhere really to promote yourself or what you're offering. So I definitely do think that it was a good idea to get this printer after all. Do I have regrets? So far, no. I will say everything so far has been good, and there are no regrets here. And of course, that is it for today's video, amigas. If you guys like what you guys saw, this type of content, make sure you guys give me a thumbs up. You are subscribed and turn on your post notification bell so you are notified every time I upload a new video. And also a little comment down below if you stayed to the end. Give me a little star emoji or something. That way I know you watched the whole video. I'm super grateful for each and every one of you guys, and I can't wait to make more videos. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.